Costa Rica recibe una visita muy especial en este mes de abril. La señora Kim Phuc, quien lidera Kim Foundation, una organización sin fines de lucro cuya misión es sanar las heridas de niños en estado de vulnerabilidad y darles esperanza a través de la atención médica y psicológica. La señora Phuc saltó al lente mundial en 1972 cuando protagonizó una de las fotografías más icónicas de la guerra en Vietnam. Ella está en Costa Rica para presentar la primera edición de su libro La Ruta del Fuego, en el cual narra la historia de su vida y de cómo venció las heridas físicas y emocionales para perdonar a quienes le hicieron daño. Hoy nos acompaña desde Casa Presidencial. Thank you, Mrs. Phuc, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. What an honor for me.
Thanks. So my first question is around Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a small country in terms of territory, but we have a global voice for peacekeeping.
Yes.
How do you think Costa Rica can use its voice to help causes like yours?
Yes, but as soon as I know that we have a project to translate my book Fire Road to Spanish, and my friend Mauricio, artist, he was Canadian, ambassador de Costa Rica in Canada. So he had that vision, and he say yes, he will work hard to help me to translate it to Spanish. La Ruta del Fuego. Be honest, I am so happy because that is my dream. And I look into all the information about Costa Rica. Then the first point that I learned that Costa Rica, no military. Wow, I'm super happy because that is a symbol of peace. And the government, the people in Costa Rica, with that symbol for peace. And exactly that is my dream. And exactly as I am a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for the culture of peace. And so peace for me is not just suddenly we have that. I believe we have to work hard and remain peace in the country, in the community, in the family, and individual. So I think that is we stand the same goal, the same purpose that Costa Rica present peace. Even small country, but it's just a global voice. And I really happy to be here in Costa Rica.
And we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Talking a little bit about your cause specifically, right now there are children who are in the midst of armed conflicts in the world. What would be your message to the adults responsible of those conflicts?
Yes, from my heart, every single family as a parents, we have to live as a good example, and we have to acting and thinking and talking about loving, hope, forgiveness, and peace for our children. And so we, for me as UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, we just focus on education for all. It not only just particularly a group, but for all. And so I believe that to maintain peace, we have to education educate children in our family, in our community. And I really believe that if in school have the program for peace, and that we can learn everything from academic, and then from the behavior, and then how the conscience that we're living with peace.
Do you have an example in mind of that change the education provides to society? Maybe as a goodwill ambassador, you have been experienced that in some countries.
I think it's we have the program into the school, that we have the program to encourage and helping students going out, talking about peace, how they live, help each other, and the motive of the school that build peace. And so yes, we have that program in Canada through the UNESCO system.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of war and peace, how do you think the world has changed from the time that picture, that famous picture, was taken up to today?
Well, it is so sad that I had been living in the time of war, in the Vietnam War. And yes, it is so sad that at 9 years old, I became a victim. Not only we lost, destroyed, facing with hopeless and pain in the moment of war, but I can see through my experiences the post-war is much more difficult how to deal with. Something happened already. Number one, destroy everything, material, houses, but then, you know, it's the great scar in the heart, in the mind. Like I always say, emotional pain, that I not only suffer with physical pain, but emotional pain. And so I went through a very difficult time when the teenager. And like I live very low self-esteem. And I honestly, my mind always thinking about negative and wonder why me, why that happened to me. In general, it's very difficult and very severe with nightmare, trauma, and low self-esteem, all of that. And then when I became teenager, but the one thing I learned that during the time I got burned, I stayed in the hospital. Then I received the great compassion of the doctors and nurses and teachers later on, and my family. All the people around me really support me, and they love me. And that is, the love is a great part, huge part of my recovery. And because of facing experiences about war, how horrible, and then I am so thankful, number one, that I'm still alive. Number two, I have the desire to learn, not accepted as just survivor, as a victim, but I also learn to move on. How can I have peace? How can I learn to move on and to reconcile the new situation, the new days coming, and because I not accepted the way that I stay in the darkness, in the hatred, in the bitterness, angry for the rest of my life. So because of that, I experiences about war. Now I value of peace. The term it changed, and I'm so thankful that I learned that I can learn from the past, but I'm not absolutely don't want to live in the past, because my past is a really war. And now I have the present, and I have the future, and I look, I always thinking about positive and not allow myself to think about negative. And number one, I live up with practicing love, compassion, and understanding, and forgiveness. I think those things, it turned my heart, turned my life into peace and joy. And the most important point in that process, that my faith, it's very important. I believe that God in control, my faith in Jesus, and I have that relationship. And when something happened, I learned that it's for the reason, because I went through that, and I have a choice to make. That my picture was taken in 1972, and on June 8, I had no choice. But when I have freedom and I became a mother in Canada, I have a choice to make. And I'm so thankful that I make a good choice. My choice is, when I hold my son, Thomas, and I look at my picture, I cannot imagine even that little girl is me, but I cannot imagine any child suffer like me. And so that has moved me to the point that, yes, I have to do something different in this world to make my children have freedom and they not suffer like I did. And that point, it's from love. I love not only my children, but children over the world. I don't want them suffer even just a little bit that part that I suffered. And so I make a decision. I wanted to accept that picture and then embrace that picture. And I make a decision, go back to work with that picture for peace. And that is a make difference. I wanted, but the first of all, I have to change my perspective, looking at that, the term of war, and now the term of peace. What I have to choose? Peace, of course. And then I wanted to change my thinking about, look at the picture and not look that picture as a curse, ugly. But I look at that picture as the blessing. So now I look at that picture as a powerful gift for me to work for peace. And that picture reminds me where I come from, what happened to me, and then I can do the best in the rest of my life to help people who are suffer like me. And that is a term of war I learned. And then now I build up every single day whatever, even in my heart, in my mind, my action, the way I speak, the way I pray for people is so peaceful and joy. And like before, in the war, and I suffer, I didn't want to live. I want to take my life. But now, wow, with peace and joy, I don't want to die. I want to live for as long as God take me home. But during the time I'm here, I just very, my naturally now, my heart is peace with joy. So I just keep smiling, and my heart is so peaceful. I want to live, and I want to help people, encourage people, and let them know that we always have hope.
Do you feel chosen for this purpose?
I think, yes, God had a plan for me. In 1972, on June 8, on that road, on that time, I think I just simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. But now I am in the right place in the right time.
You have such a powerful message. You speak about love, education, forgiveness, faith, hope. It's sometimes hard to imagine all of those values translated into politics, but yet we do have to try to put those into perspective into politics as well. So there is an important role for diplomacy in seeking for peacekeeping. What do you think the leaders of the world should try to do to achieve this purpose of peacekeeping?
Yes, they should. And for me personally, that happened to me I'm practicing, and that is my character. Every morning when I wake up, I pray for my family, for friends, and for the leader in the country. And I pray for peace in the world. Be honest, I pray for America, I pray for Canada, I pray for Putin, who work around him. I pray that God softened their heart and they can do something with love, not destroy people, not just using bomb. And I just pray that God open their heart, their eyes. They see what they do is wrong, so they can see the consequences. Everything is a consequences come along. What did you do? So for me, that's why I go back with the education, with the good example of their family, parents. Just as a child, boys or girl, receive the love of parents, teacher, and friend. They're growing up with a good heart. One day, they become a leader. So before making decision for war, they thinking. The weapon is not the problem, but the problem is the heart, how the people using the weapon. And I think if the boy or the girl have a good heart, so what they choose? They choose peace. They don't make a war. They don't make a disaster. And they give a hand to build peace in the family, in the community, and in the world.
That's my last question is about this.
Yes.
Actually, what do we citizens of Costa Rica, citizens of the world, should do to try to keep peace in our homes, in our communities, globally?
Yes.
What is your message?
that now I am in the first time in Costa Rica, and about 10 days I travel here and there to look, and I say, wow, Costa Rica is a wonderful country, even a small country, but maintain peace with the people. It's so friendly and living. Of course, you have poor people, rich people everywhere, but you can see the peace in their face, the joy in their face. And I really, really want to send my message. Number one, thank you so much for individual and even the government that I just met the president here. And I can feel, I know that is everyone talking about peace and new peace, and I just want, please maintain building peace by daily life, and that is a really culture of peace. Whatever you are, what you have, but the peace in your heart, and so your action very peaceful, and that is the world need. And so that is the same my message. If everyone can learn to live with love, with hope, peace, and forgiveness, absolutely, we don't need war. And that is my message. Number one, thank you so much for the people from Costa Rica. Like pura vida, I love it. And number two, that we continue with education to young people, maintain peace, because let them know the value of peace. And peace is not just suddenly we have it. We have to work hard to maintain peace. And please never take it for granted. Do good, and then that is Costa Rica, but the voice of peace for everywhere around the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you for accepting this time with us and for your powerful message.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
Next time I will answer in Spanish.
Well, I forgot to say that, right? Because you do have also the dream of having that book published, because you say Costa Rica is a peaceful country, but also because you have a very good Spanish.
Yes, but 31 years living in Canada, we talk more in English. And so mi español está saliendo.
No, but tienes un español muy bueno.
Gracias.
Y lo has demostrado en todas las charlas y las conferencias.
Gracias.
Gracias también por eso.
Yo trato. Yeah. Gracias.